Born to be a winner, Johto. Born to be a champion. Born to be a winner, born to be the very best. Yeah. So that's the opening theme for the next one of this for Anime Month, of continuing with my Pokemon anime series. And that is of Pokemon continuing Johto League Champions. So Ash is still competing in the Johto League. And now to reveal my top favorite episodes of the Johto League Johto League Champions. But first off, look really quick that continuing on, Ash goes to Goldenrod City, fights against Whitney, with her milled tank to win the Plain Badge, and then eventually leading up to where to Ecruteak City to fight Morty with his ghost Pokemon Gengar to win the Fog Badge. And to one point where they explore the burned down shrine, like in the game, where the shrine where the three legendary Pokemon Entei, Suicune, and Raikou were. And also there was another tower where these special bells were, and there was top was Ho-Oh sat at top. And Ash noticed the image that was Ho-Oh, and he quickly told that's what he saw on the very start of his journey in the very first episode. But he said he saw Ho-Oh. And people said they didn't believe him because maybe he saw it was a hallucination, but we all know he saw Ho-Oh. So, but yeah. And more on the journey, where he meets with more of their friends, including Todd and photographer Todd, who was there to capture and to take the image of an Articuno, and Duplica with her Ditto from earlier in the Intico League. So, but one of my favorite episodes is called Hassle. The first one is Hassle in the Castle, where it starts raining. They find this castle on top of the hill, which reminds me of that song by Ed Sheeran, Over the castle on the hill. Yeah, but really, yeah, castle on the hill. And to get out of the rain, they hear someone screaming. They investigate and they realize it's actually a clinic where this woman doctor uses Pokemon's special abilities to use as treatments, like Mod Choke for his strength for massages, and Spinarak's strong web for a bandage, and the doctor has a Zubat, a girl Zubat, because it has a bow, uses his supersonic to make CAT scans, so stuff like that. And of course, Brock takes a liking to her, and even shows off his Zubat. And then Team Rocket comes in, tries to steal the food. They chase them. They fall down this trap door, along with the Doctor, Brock, and their Zubat. So with them down there, the Doctor's assistant, Misty, and Ash, with Brock's Geodude and Pineco, they go on the other side of down where there's supposed to a blocked off exit for it, so they try digging that up. And Jessie, she comes running into the traps in the underground passageways, pointing to Wobbuffet, I thought you were the fall guy. Wobbuffet. Eventually they lead out to the exit, Pinecone uses its self-destruct to blast the door open. They take Pikachu, and Brock's Zubat uses Supersonic and eventually evolves into Golbat. And uses Supersonic again, which is a very powerful Supersonic, and so powerful that it crashes the Doctor's computer. But eventually they defeat Team Rocket, and even Brock had this image of them as a wedding, but it all comes crashing down on him. Poor Brock. But that's the end for Hassle in the Castle. I really enjoy that one. It's another good one. Leading now into the next episode of A Fair Amount of Johto League Champions. It's called Power Play. And that's when Ash runs into his rival Gary, whose Eevee's now evolved from into an Umbreon, where he sees that Gary is fighting a challenger who has an Alakazam, and defeats Alakazam. Ash wanted to fight battle against Gary, but he leaves. And Team Rocket's next scheme, because Jesse gets an idea that Wobbuffet's incredible counterattack when he'll try to use his scratch attack against him and reflect it back at him. So she gets an idea where they build this giant Wobbuffet and uses like all the power from the town's power plant to power up their super mega Wobbuffet. Like, whenever they use their attacks, they open the doors open, they suck it in, and return it back with twice the strength. And, like, they use a Cyndaquil's flamethrower, and Chicory uses the vine to hold the door shut, and eventually it blows up, and it blows up the robot, and Team Rocket goes flying again. But the generator there's no power, so they have to open the water for the water gate, so they have to get this lever to turn the thing on to turn the water gates on to get more power flowing. And Ash has one little conversation with Gary again, and then they're on their way again. But Power Play, yeah, it's another good one too. Now, the next one is my second favorite episode of Pokemon. Like I said before, my all-time favorite episode is Forest Grumps. This is my second favorite episode of Pokemon, and that is Houndoom's Special Delivery. This is another one that it's my second favorite. I really adore this episode. And it's when they see Ash, Misty, and Brock, they see a Houndoom carrying a packet, has a backpack on, and it's delivering something. And because of Team Rocket, who interfere with them again, Togepi gets separated. Well, first Togepi uses its Metronome to teleport away, and it gets stuck up in a tree. Houndoom comes and gets it, even fends up a pincer, and poor Togepi is like crying. So Houndoom takes care of Togepi and takes it with him. So they have a little journey on themselves. Like, they cross a river where they run to a Gyarados, and like Houndoom, because Houndoom's weak against water, is forced into the water, and he gets a little weak after he gets out of it. And he sees sees Togepi climbing this cliff and starts falling. Saves it until they go up the cliff. They find this little flower garden where there was like Lilibee, Lillian, and Bellossom, even Butterfree. And like Togepi dances on top of a Venusaur, and Venusaur like sneezes, and it sprays out sleep powder, and Houndoom inhales it, falls asleep, and Venusaur just yawns like "Zar," just walks away. So eventually they wake up and they continue on, and you get this a good song that was playing "Never Too Far From Home." Wherever you go, wherever you need, always be counting on me. You'll always be someone waiting. You're never too far from home. And they take shelter underneath a tree, right? And when the fog lifts, they see something in the distance, and they see Raikou, the legendary electric Pokemon Raikou. They see him walk into some bushes. He sparks up a little bit, and then just goes and flies off. So yeah, Togepi and Houndoom, they see the legendary Pokemon Raikou. I always enjoyed that little moment, and especially Raikou, he's so underused. I mean, Entei and has his own little film in Pokemon 3, the movie, and Suicune with Celebi in Pokemon Forever. Raikou gets basically like the short end of the stick, basically. I mean, he has a little cameo appearance in that episode, which I enjoy, like I said, but he doesn't get like a solo performance in one of the other Pokemon movies, like Entei in Pokemon 3 and Suicune along with Celebi in Pokemon Forever. But Raikou never got one though. So yeah. I mean, all three legendary Pokemon appeared later on in one of the Diamond and Pearl movies that are reviewed though, but they're different color though, but just not like Raikou by himself though, I'm trying to say. So he got the short end of the stick. I mean, Raikou was underused in the series. But like I said, Houndoom Special Delivery, my second favorite. I really like the cameo that Houndoom and Togepi got to see Raikou. So they continue on, and until they get to the Houndoom's owner, who had this little thing for to shear Mareep with, sheath their wool. And eventually Team Rocket, Ash catches up with them, they defeat Team Rocket, and like James "Bye Houndoom, it was nice stealing you." And as they leave, Togepi, it was a little sad thing, that Togepi didn't want to say goodbye to Houndoom, but Houndoom said you had to go. And Togepi crying. It was a little sad thing for Togepi, you know. And with the narrator saying, meet new friends, but they'll carry with them in their hearts, So, but yeah, that's my second favorite episode. Houndoom's special delivery. My all-time favorite is Forest Grumps. This is my second favorite, Houndoom's special delivery. So my next favorite episode is Unbearable, where they enter this forest, which they think there's supposed to be some scary Pokemon there, but is actually they bump into a small Teddy Ursa, which evolves into an Ursaring. But keep saying that Teddy Ursa does like its charm, like gives like the puppy eyes, and Missy's like, oh cutie, But Teddy Ursa is actually a bad Pokemon because he steals the food and blames it on the other Pokemon until it gets found out, because he takes Brock's backpack, and Ursa just like ignores him and like where it's like Brock's like, it's not even a shame that it's a liar. So Teddy Ursa fights them, but is defeated, but it evolves into an Ursaring, and they all run away. And Ursa's like, and it probably says that and Missy's like, no one's gonna be able to charm an Ursaring. Well, of course, at the end of the episode, of course, the dimwits are Team Rocket. It's like, even Ursaring gets to do the same thing, and okay, we share some of our popcorn, and ends with Ursaring giving that little dirty look again. So, yeah, but Unbearable is another good one for me. Next is Sick Days, where Brock is taken ill, so his Pokemon Golbat and Geodude, they look after him while he's sick in bed, while leaving up to Ash and Misty to do his chores for him, like cooking and cleaning, and they find it very tough, and they're like, wonder how Brock does it all. So, and like one part where they try cooking this soup, and Missy keeps messing up, like putting too much sugar or salt, and it turns like purple, and it tastes terrible. But when Jessie steals it, it tastes really good. Yeah, so she likes that nasty soup. So, but eventually it comes up when Brock gets all better, but it like even has like the same dream where he's all these pretty girls, but he's like falling or something like that though. So that's another short of the logistics of the episode. When he gets better though. Sick Days, it's another fun one for me. And next is Current Events, where Ash, they see these electric windmills, and Ash and Chikorita go investigate because they're at the power plant because something happened, and Team Rocket got there first. They find that the security is of electric Pokemon like Electrode, Magnemite or Magneton, and the head of security is an Electabuzz. So they notice that the twerp, the whole show of the series, they call him twerp. So they tell Electabuzz that the twerp, Ash, he's the intruder. So mistakenly, they get chased by Electabuzz. Team Rocket captures them and puts them in the cage. Well, Chikorita and Electabuzz, until a point where Team Rocket's Pokemon, they beat up Ash until Chikorita cries out and evolves into Bayleaf. So, all's well ends well in that episode, where Electabuzz like the woman who's in charge of that place, says is sorry for everything, including Electabuzz. So, next is another favorite episode. Another favorite episode of mine is Ride-On, where they encounter a Ride-On because they find this young girl who has a Marill. She's looking for a Ride-On, and which early in the morning, Ash saw something in the water, and it was a Ride-On, which Misty didn't believe because how could a rock Pokemon like Ride-On swim? So, but wait till the girl explains that the Ride-On learned to use the Surf attack. Because there are certain rock Pokemon that can use the water type Surf. So, yeah, so this Rhydon used Surf. So, she needs the Rhydon because she's building this tunnel for her grandmother to cut through the mountain easily to get to town. But they're at the end point though, but it's hard to break through, and some water starts dripping. So, like all the rock Pokemon are afraid of it. So she needs that Rhydon that's not scared of water. So, then Team Rocket they try to like they see apples, they start feeding, they're shoving their mouths with apples. Team Rhydon comes up and sends them flying. It's at one point where they set up a pit trap, right? And they think something's the pit trap, but it's actually Wobbuffet. But Ash and the others, they chase the Rhydon. Missy uses her water Pokemon to chase the Rhydon in the water, and Rhydon uses his horn drill to make a whirlpool. And they see that there is a little small island in the middle of the lake where there's apple trees. So that's why it learned the surf attack it got over its fear of water to swim over there to get to the apples. But eventually, the girl, she captures the Rhydon and breaks the wall, make it into town. But that's another great one. Rhydon. Next is the Joy of Water Pokemon, where the encounter was a lake named Lake Lucid, where it's a famous lake where famous Nurse Joy, the Nurse Joy, who's there, her grandmother and her mother help fix the lake up, and the water is so clean, refreshing, and it's great for the water Pokemon to like fun play and even have practice battles to get in shape. And Missy's really is like an idol to her, a role model to her. She's really excited to meet the Nurse Joy of Lake Lucid, and where she wants her to look at her water Pokemon, but it turns out that Nurse Joy, she's afraid of water Pokemon. So the famous Nurse Joy of Lake Lucid is afraid of water Pokemon. But she tells a story that she didn't used to be afraid of them. Like when she was a girl, her and her mother on a boat, and she sees a Remoraid, and the Remoraid sprays her face, she falls in the water, and the whole group just, like, well, they are playing with her, though, but she didn't know that, though, so that's how she got to become afraid of them. And Nurse Joy, Missy gets mad at her for that, and that's why she wears that water suit that she wears to treat the water Pokemon, so she doesn't have to touch them. And with her Chansey assistance as well. And with Team Rocket, they wear like this Tentacruel, wearing a fake Tentacruel. And they send, and Nurse Joy shows them around, shows them all the inside the Pokemon Center where all these tanks to help heal this injured water Pokemon, including a Gyarados, which is the one water Pokemon that Missy does not like, is Gyarados, but until later in the spin-off of Pokemon Chronicles, which that never got a proper DVD release. I don't know why, the Pokemon Chronicles, where it focuses on the other side characters like Misty, Brock, or Casey, or Tracy, Professor Oak, like those side characters, where without Ash. So why did that show never got a proper DVD release? I don't know why. I'm still mad about that, because I like that. I like some of the episodes in those. But I'm referring to in that series is where Misty goes back home to the gym, and there's a Gyarados that needs to be calmed down. And she gets over her fear of Gyarados, and that's why later in the advanced series, Ruby and Sapphire, she has the Gyarados to fight. So and she's like, oh, you got over fear of Gyarados, did you? So, but anyway, yeah, but really into that though. But continuing on though, thanks to Team Rocket, the Gyarados breaks out of the cage, and Nurse Joy's water suit gets flushed down the drain. So she has no choice, because she's not gonna let her personal issues determine her job, interfere with her job. So she forced herself to face her fear of touching the water Pokemon. So she calms the Gyarados down, puts a new neck brace on it. My next favorite episode is Fight for the Light, where they get the event. They arrive in Olivine City, where she's next to challenge Jasmine, who has Steel Pokemon, and eventually this little girl who's an apprentice of Jasmine, she has an Onix where she fights Ash's Totodile, but her Onix is covered with water repellent wax, so that's why it wasn't phased against Totodile's water gun attack. And Jasmine tells her, you can't do that though. So then she takes her Onix and scrubs the wax off of him. So they explain that Jasmine has to go to the lighthouse, this famous lighthouse that her Sparkles is not feeling ill, which is in Ampharos. and Team Rocket takes Ampharos and Brock in the cage, and thanks to what was the girl? I forgot the girl's name who has the Onyx. Saves them and has Onyx send them flying, and so they had to go to Cianwood City to get the special medicine for her Ampharos, and which the Howls has a gym there. So, which that leads into my next favorite episode of, which is the last episode of the Johto League Champions, and that is where Ash fights Chuck. Chuck, the gym leader of Cianwood City, who has fighting Pokemon. They see him training with his Machoke, doing some seismic tosses together, and Machoke hitting him like, come on, is that all you got? And that voice of Chuck is voiced by Dan Green, who voices Yugi in Yu-Gi-Oh! Both young Yugi and the Pharaoh. So, which is cool, because Dan Green, he does voice in some episodes of Pokemon as well, so it was cool to hear him. So challenges him to, well, first he gets the medicine, and then challenges to the gym, and it's like, we need to eat before you fight. Eat some more. And then fights against it's 2-on-2, so he fights against his Poliwrath. Poliwrath beats Pikachu, even though it's electric type though, but Poliwrath is also a fighting type. So Poliwrath beats Pikachu, and then Ash uses his Bayleaf to defeat Poliwrath, and then fights his Machoke. And eventually he wins, earns the fighting badge, I think it was, yeah. And then they're on the way back to first they explore the Whirlpool Islands, I think it was the Whirlpool Islands, and then eventually back to the Olivine City. So, but yeah, Machoke Man is the name of the episode. So, yeah, those are my favorite episodes of the Johto League Champions. It's another good series. I really do enjoy it, and especially I enjoy the theme, Born to be a Winner. But as I was mentioned before, it sucks that Pokemon Chronicles never got a DVD release. How much a hassle do you have to look up to find and watch the episodes? Was it Viz? Which, yeah, Viz, if you watch this, which they don't though, but give Pokemon Chronicles a DVD release, please. Because I like watching the side characters like Misty, Brock, and other ones like Professor Oak, Tracy, or even coupled with Casey as well. So, and Richie as well, Richie from when Ash fought in the Pokemon League. So even Richie has some episodes in there as well. So, please release if you're releasing all the seasons of Pokemon on DVD, you could at least put Pokemon Chronicles on there as well to release as well. But yeah. But that's my review, such with my top episodes of my favorite episodes of Pokemon Johto League Champions. Really another series I do enjoy. But thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more on a review for Anime Month. Later.